Kostaki, this was all my fault. I forgot we moved you to Monday.
Oh, it's no worries. This is actually good timing for me, Tom.
Oh, my God.
Thank you for your patience with
I looked at him. It's like, oh, Kostaki's calling. That's right. We moved him to Monday. You know, actually, it's all Catherine's fault because she's in Iceland.
What?
Yeah, my wife and daughter are in Iceland.
Really?
Yes, they're coming back on Wednesday.
I've never heard that sentence before. How is Iceland?
She said it's really weird because you go in. She said the people are wonderful. They're very, very nice people. They're Nordic, but they don't want to be Nordic.
What does that mean?
They don't want to be considered part of Scandinavia, even though they are.
We want to be South American.
But she said you'll sit down at a restaurant in Iceland and they'll say, she said it's just bizarre because they come to the table and say, we have some lovely puffin on the menu tonight, and also the whale is fantastic. It's like, what?
Wow.
Puffin and whale.
You know what a puffin is?
A puffin, yeah. I remember Bloom County.
Yeah, there you go.
Is he on the endangered species list?
They say that if they don't kill some of the whales around Iceland, they wash up on the shore and die. So they actually eat them.
Wow.
And they say whale meat is delicious and you should try it. And she said, I'm not eating a puffin and I'm not eating a whale.
Oh, wow. I would so eat a puffin and a whale.
Depends on how hungry I am.
Hey, when you play that fabulous Scandinavian ha-ha room there in Reykjavik.
Yeah, I got to get my agent on the job.
Hey, I'd like to go to Reykjavik and do some stand-up for a while.
The Chuckle Hut.
The Chuckle Hut in Reykjavik, Iceland. Right by the volcano no one can pronounce.
Try the puffin. Good night.
Good night.
Perfect.
Try the puffin. Good night. There's been a lot of sentences in this conversation so far that no one's ever heard before. So, Kostaki, we're talking to Kostaki Economopoulos. Now I can't even talk because I'm laughing. Kostaki Economopoulos, quick snaps. I don't know how this happened. My daughter's boyfriend. My daughter has 4 season tickets to the Vikings, and she's in Iceland with Catherine. So her boyfriend, my daughter's boyfriend, says, "Why don't you go to the game with us?" I said, "I don't want to go to the game. It's crowded and loud, and they're going to get killed by San Francisco." And I went to my first Viking game in 20 years yesterday.
Oh, what a great one!
Unbelievable timing.
Oh, that's great. Like you won the football fan lottery.
I did. Although I will tell you this, I have this wonderful new workout program for you. It'll benefit everyone. It's a lot of leg work. It's called the letting people in and out of the goddamn aisle. Oh God, I must have gotten up and sat down 100 times to let people in and out of my row.
Do you know how old you sound in the last 1 minute?
Well, I understand.
This is why he doesn't go to church.
It's crowded. There's people there. Yeah. I got
to get up and do my leg work. And Here, one last thing about it, because I know you're a busy man and you got a bunch of stuff for us on the Vikings anyway. So I have not been to a Viking game in literally 20 years. I'm a huge Viking fan. I watch them on TV, but
That's great. I love that.
So
I love that you got to see that game. Nobody saw that coming, right?
No. 4 guys.
Somewhere Nostradamus is saying, what?
Exactly. 4 guys yesterday at the game. And so I said, you guys want a beer? So they said, yeah. They said, okay, 4 beers, please. So in the second quarter, you want another beer? So we bought, okay, now everybody wanted another one, so we're up to 8 beers. In the third quarter, they cut off sales after the third quarter. So we had 1 more beer. So 3 beers apiece for 4 guys. $120.
Oh, wow.
For a 12-pack of beer, $120.
Well.
It's like, what?
Yeah.
Wow, that is astounding.
It is astounding.
That's how they get you. That's the
you get a bottle of Cristal and a cab ride home for $100.
Honestly, a 12-pack of Miller Lite, which is what it was, is normally $10.
Yeah.
So they marked it up 1,200%.
You did the math.
It's like, what do you
for watered down tap beer.
I all of a sudden, I sound like an old Jew now. So they charged me $120, and there were people there, and it was crowded.
I got Spilkus.
I got a lot of Spilkus, man. So the NFL.
Christian quarterback played great. Not Tebow, Christian Ponder.
No, it's true.
Right? Yeah, that was, I mean, as big an upset as we've seen. San Francisco hasn't been this upset since Proposition 8.
He gives his own. Enjoy the puffin.
The last Minnesota victory this shocking was Jesse Ventura.
Oh, you got that right.
Indeed.
And my Falcons won, so we're both happy this week.
That's very true.
They look great. Running back Michael Turner had 14 carries, 80 yards, a touchdown. He shook off more hits than Tina Turner.
Ike! Where's Ike?
Too soon.
Ike's been dead for a while. He's all right. Ike's been dead for a long time.
Yeah. And I just saw on ESPN today, they put the Falcons number 2 in the power rankings. That's high. That's not the Falcons, the guys doing the ranking. They are.
Who was number 1?
It's the Texans, also 3-0.
God, they just love the Texans to go to Super Bowl this year, don't they?
Yeah. We'll see.
Yeah.
It's a little premature,
Yeah.
Last week the Niners were number 1, so they couldn't beat the Vikings.
Well, there you go.
It's not going to be New Orleans. It won't be a home game for New Orleans this year.
No, it doesn't look like it will be. They are not good. Oh, my goodness. 0-3. They're 0-3 against the Hurricanes lately, too. It's been a tough
Got some good news, got some bad news.
The Saints and the Chiefs went to overtime to see which is the worst team in the NFL. Congrats, Saints. You earned it,
Yeah.
They really, they look terrible. I guess coaching's important.
Yeah. Who knew?
Who dat sitting at home?
The Saints are making New Orleans look worse than David Duke did.
There's a reference. Andy, do you know who David Duke was?
Yeah. No idea.
He's the American Nazi Party. He's in the Ku Klux Klan.
Yeah, right.
Nazi and Ku Klux Klan.
Yeah.
That's more of an age reference. How old are you, Andy?
25, almost 26.
You're too young for that joke. See, that's how long ago was that? Tom?
About 25 years ago.
25 years ago. Yeah.
Right around your conception, Andy.
Yes, exactly. We were watching a David Duke speech when Andy was conceived.
Yeah, wasn't the Berlin Wall taken down just about when I was born?
Yes.
Yeah, so that puts that into perspective.
David Duke did it.
Oh, he did it himself.
Yeah. Yeah, he wouldn't let anybody go either way direction on that wall. He would not be for that.
Oh, no.
If the Saints don't turn things around, they're going to be looking for a coach next year.
Yeah.
What are the other big stories? Tebow converted a fake punt for the Jets. He loves to convert anything.
Yeah.
Happy to do some conversions. What else? The Browns suck. They're 0-3. They're the other 0-3 team. There's only two, the Saints and the Browns. The Browns playbook is like Chick-fil-A, closed on Sundays.
Yeah, another religious reference. I like that.
Did you see the highlights of the Dallas-Tampa game?
I have not seen them.
Well, me neither, because there aren't any. Dallas beat Tampa by 6, which should count as a loss, I think.
Yeah.
The Cowboys won ugly, like Michael Phelps.
Yeah, there you go.
Is that fair?
Yeah, that's fair. Some women think that guy's good looking. It's like, what? He's a goofy looking bastard.
Yeah, he's got a strange, I don't know. It seems like the alternative punchline was Martina Navratilova.
Oh!
So I'm sure Andy wouldn't get that either.
Andy's just shaking his head. I don't know who that is either. Tennis. Well, she was on Dancing with the Stars about 2 years ago.
There you go.
Because I watched
Was
that.
she really?
He goes, yeah, because I watched that.
The Lions' Hail Mary was not enough to save them. Let that be a note to the sinners out there.
Catholics, anyway.
Chris Johnson is killing my fantasy team, by the way. They're going to make a bust of him, not for the Hall of Fame, just because he's such a bust. What is the matter with him? He signed a giant contract last year. Maybe his giant wallet is slowing him down.
Yeah, that happens.
He got $53 million, and he hasn't done much since. People always say, Tom, if they win the lottery, they're going to quit their jobs. That's what Chris Johnson did.
Yeah, there you go.
He still goes by CJ2K because 2 years ago he surpassed 2,000 yards. He has 45 yards in 3 games. At his current pace, he's going to have to change his name to CJ 240 yards.
That's not good. It doesn't trip off the tongue.
No, it's not catchy.
Not at all. Not at all. Very clumsy. I'm sorry. Matt
Schaub lost a piece of his ear. Oh. That play? He was hit by 2 guys at once, Van Gogh and Mike Tyson. Ear jokes, everybody. He won the battle, lost the lobe. Who's with me?
Hey, Andy's shaking his head up and down. He's happy with you now. We're back in that 2012 era.
Here's an old reference. Redskins allowed the Bengals to score 38 points. Redskins have never been good at defense. Poor defense will cost you games and North America.
Yes.
And that was a home game for them, wasn't it?
Was it a home game?
Yeah, for the Redskins. I think
Was
the Redskins
really?
were at home and they lost that game.
Well, there's no home for Redskins anymore.
That's true.
How the hell did he even get away with the name Redskins anyhow?
Yeah.
It's really hard to believe that we put up with that one.
Let's get the Redskins out here. What?
The NFL reminds us that it is National Hispanic Heritage Month. So get ready to celebrate Ocho Cinco de Mayo.
Thank you.
Chad Johnson's getting a divorce. I guess he and his wife got tired of butting heads.
You know, I think that same thing is like literally butting heads.
Literally headbutting.
He headbutted his wife.
Oh, God.
Yeah, he avoided jail time by pleading no contest. The Browns should plead no contest. Chad says he'd like to join another NFL team, maybe one where the owner is having some trouble with his wife.
Sure, absolutely, fit right in.
What else we got here? Cam Newton took some shots for sulking during the game. It's not the sulking the Panther fans mind, it's the sucking. That seems to be the bigger issue.
Only one letter off.
Panthers' Cam Newton has taken some shots for his bad body language. Cowboys' Rob Ryan taking some shots for his bad body shape.
Ooh.
He's a big guy.
He is a big fella.
How do they think he's going to build a good defense? He can't even defend his stomach from the onslaught of French fries.
You know, my favorite thing you did last week was when you literally alerted us, okay, I'm coming to the end, so the closer's going to be whatever you laugh at the most.
Yeah.
I love that.
Welcome to my act.
Welcome to my act.
I get a big laugh. I'm out of here.
Oh, it's just
Do you have any
wonderful.
Jay Cutler material for us this week?
There's another prick.
I don't think I do. That's rare. That's rare not to have a Jay Cutler joke in the segment.
How can this guy dress down his players? He's not a leader.
Yeah, he really is. He's very hot-cold.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that team, if he gets his head straight, will be great. But he hasn't proven that he's capable of that yet.
No.
We'll see.
Absolutely not.
What else? Replacement refs. In one game, a field judge threw a flag on himself for impersonating a field judge.
Did you see those calls?
The judge was caught on camera legitimately listening to a coach. See, that proves that they don't have any idea.
You got that right.
What they're doing. All right, this could be the closer. Let's go with this one.
I love this. I love it when you say that this could be the closer.
Well, if it doesn't kill, I do another one. That's how I do.
Keep it coming.
Former Bear Sam Hurd is likely to plead guilty to distributing cocaine. You'll remember last year the Bears cut Sam Hurd with baking soda.
The drug dealing joke, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to close with a drug dealing joke. That's a wonderful thing. You are a gentleman, sir. I appreciate your time.
It's great. It's great to talk to you guys. Let's do it every Monday.
Monday.
We'll talk to you Monday.
I like it. He goes, let's do it every Monday.
Just in case you need a reminder.
You're the best. Thank you, sir. Spent the weekend hanging out with Brian Callen. I want to just mention again how great that was. Brian Callen, of course, the two biggest grossing comedies of all time, Hangover 1 and Hangover Part 2. Just a great guy to hang out with. Just had a lot of fun. Robert's ready to go?
Yep.
Robert, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
You pronounce your name Mazur just like the actor?
Excuse me?
Do you pronounce your name just like the actor, Robert Mazur?
It's Mazur, M-A-Z-U-R.
Yeah, it is Mazur. Okay. You know there's an actor out there with your name, don't you?
No, I didn't know he borrowed it.
Maybe
I've borrowed so many names throughout my career as a federal agent undercover, it doesn't surprise me now.
I love the title of the interview, Money Laundering and Terrorism. Robert Mazur, former DEA undercover agent and author of The Infiltrator, My Secret Life Inside the Dirty Banks Behind Pablo Escobar's Medellin Cartel. Boy, you were there right up against it, huh?
Yeah, I got to see it up close and personal. I took, I think, on a pretty amazing journey from the normal work as a federal agent into learning how to be a long-term undercover agent, being blessed with the type of mentoring that couldn't be matched. I mean, among those who were involved in training for me were Joe Pistone, who the movie and the book Donnie Brasco is based upon, and a lot of psychologists and others within the training process that help you to understand what you're going to be going through. As I as I tell law enforcement agents that I train now, you really need to go through that process with the psychologist, because they need to determine whether you're adequately crazy enough to do this kind of work. But there really is a very important aspect of knowing what you're going to get yourself into and how to deal with it emotionally, physically. The stress of living a double life within the underworld is just mind-boggling. I without the help from those people and without the leadership that I had that had enough presence of mind to give me about a year and a half to put together one of the more sophisticated fronts I think that have been used in undercover. I emerged from that with a completely new identity, with embedded in real operating businesses, an investment company, mortgage brokerage business, had an air charter service with a private jet, jewelry chain with 70 locations on the East Coast, and even a brokerage firm with a seat on the New York Stock Exchange. So with that and two informants within one of the 5 crime families in New York, I really didn't have to be the best undercover agent in the world in order to get this job done. And I had a ton of support. Probably at the height of the operation, 200 people behind the scenes in the U.S., the U.K., France, and other countries, helping to keep me and my partner alive. We got to climb the cartel leadership, and I was dealing ultimately with people who were all direct reports to Pablo Escobar, including his principal consigliere, a lawyer in Medellin who, for the rest of the world, was a professor at the University of Medellin and a practicing lawyer and dealt with the legislature. But in reality, he was a mastermind of drug trafficking plans and a person who could decide on a given day who should live and who should die. So I ultimately got to be a conduit for him and others with the 7th largest privately held bank in the world, and got to see right up close and personal how the international banking community supports the underworld. It
is unbelievable, isn't it? The business that they will do. Banks will do business with anybody.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, I got the chance not only to deal with these officers and capture their words on tape, which was really the cornerstone of the prosecution of these bankers, but I also got the opportunity after they were convicted and were seeking reduced sentences to debrief them for extended periods of time, one of them for a month, and to be able to truly climb inside their head and understand not just what was going on with them, but what was going on within the international banking community. And their basic position was, we don't understand why you're picking on us. We're not doing anything different than the rest of the international banking community.
Right.
Their position, and I think that there's a series of cases that have come out in the last 4 or 5 years that support this, is that they were simply supporting and providing services to people who possessed a certain type of money, and that's money seeking secrecy from governments, money that needs to move across borders and around the globe in a fashion to make it look legal when in fact it's either illegal proceeds being used to fill their coffers or legal proceeds being used for an illegal purpose. And that money can come from drug trafficking, arms dealing, tax evasion, the evasion of customs duties, pilfering of treasuries, dealing with prohibited nations. The amount of money that's available to the banking community from these underworld sources has been measured, I think fairly accurately. The UNODC, the United Nations on Drugs and Crime, does an annual report trying to track this, and they've in 2011 they came out with a report that your listeners can Google. They pin it at roughly $2.1 trillion a year, 422 billion, just from drug trafficking alone. So that's a big number.
That is a huge number. Maybe the United States should get in the drug trafficking business. We could pay off our national debt. Might take about 7 or 8 years to do it, but, we'll get it done soon enough.
But, somehow or another, if we get the government involved, it'll get messed up. So I have a feeling that we should keep them out of it.
Well, I think you're right about that. What's always fascinated me is the length of the vetting process. How did you learn? I mean, you had to learn how to act around these people so you wouldn't be found out. How do you learn those kinds of things?
Well, I think for all good long-term undercovers, there's some prerequisites, and one of them is what is some of us who've done this work call sense of street. You really need to come from an environment where it's not completely outside your skin to be able to deal with, react, and rationalize with these people. I grew up on Staten Island, New York. I'm from, I've got an Italian American background. A lot of my family members and friends, as I point out in the book, were involved in some underworld type activity. My grandfather used to run a moving company, and he and his father and cousins all ran a moving company that moved booze for Lucky Luciano. So, I've been around people like that.
Oh.
I kind of know what they're like. My job was to come across effectively as a mob-connected money launderer. And I think that the training that I got, plus the sense of street, is really what got me through. You can be so powerful in your communication without using a lot of words.
Right.
You can be extraordinarily powerful just with how you carry yourself, how you prepare yourself. I'm trying to make people comfortable to give me the control of literally hundreds of millions of dollars. So they've got to have a heck of a lot of confidence in me and the way I carry myself. And I have to be confident in their eyes, but I also have to be confident, be perceived confidently by my office. I'm not losing touch, that I'm not forgetting where it is that I'm coming from, which is a problem that some long-term undercover agents experience. So, but I think that I got that opportunity. Plus, I had worked for 14 years, and that's another important thing. You can't just throw somebody into this. I had worked for 14 years on international drug trafficking and money laundering cases, and I had done it the traditional way: wiretaps, search warrants, but most importantly, developing informants and within the underworld, and really getting to understand these people. And I think that the bond that I developed with some of the people who later, even though they were at one time in the underworld, became assets to me in my undercover portion of my career, really carried the day. Just knowing what not to do, not acting like a cop, is something that you can't force. You've got to feel it. It's got to be a part of your DNA. And I think, fortunately, because I was blessed with so many people who cared for me in training, in supporting the undercover operation, and even oversight and management. I'm not saying it was hunky-dory the entire way and there weren't bumps in the road, but all in all, I think I got a tremendous amount of support, and that's one of the major factors that got me through this whole thing alive.
See, if I was going to vet you, if I was a drug dealer and I was going to vet you, the first thing I would ask you is, so, Bobby, you got family members in the underworld, friends in the underworld. Do you ever have a cousin that sold suits out of a trunk of his car?
No, but I bought a lot of stuff off the docks. I didn't. And I actually did. I used to work in a brewer's dry dock on Staten Island, and so I knew at the end of the week, there would always be a weekly special of what it is that you could get at a really reduced rate. Actually, most of the people who were selling that stuff I knew. So, I know what that's all about. So, yeah, that's not a problem.
That would have worked out very, very well. Now, can you have a life and do what you did? A private life where you have a wife and children. The stress would seem to be incredible if you had a wife back at home and you were in such danger on a daily basis.
Well, I did have a wife back at home, and two children, 9 and 11, when this assignment started, and she was my high school sweetheart, and I've been in love with her since that day, and we're still married now. And I think that's part of what helps to ground a long-term undercover agent. I think one of the things that we would do in order to make sure that a candidate was the right candidate is if they did have a spouse, I would want to make sure, as was the case in my instance, that they were living in a town where they had substantial amount of family around them that could provide them with support. My wife became mom and dad. I would, in the height of the operation, I would come back. I'd be gone for a month. I'd come back for a day and a half. But we ultimately came to the conclusion that it would be better for us psychologically if I just kept at the phone calls in the middle of the night, which I generally tried to do every couple of days, and not to even come home, because the amount of stress that bubbled up as a result of it, and it's a very normal reaction to a very abnormal environment. That kind of stress develops. We just decided that the best thing for us to do was to get through the operation and then do a post-mortem and see if we were going to be able to put our marriage back together again. I think the biggest problem that I had looking back is that the best way I can describe it is I became an information junkie. I became absolutely convinced that I was the only person on this planet who was going to be able to get the information that I did. And in fact, in a given day, I mean, I could find out where a ton of cocaine was coming in New York. I could find out about where millions of dollars were being picked up. I found out things that offices have to work months in order to find. And I really, I got into this because for the same reason 99.9% of the cops on this planet do this, and that is to be a part of making a difference.
Right.
And I always thought making a difference was being as close to the action as possible. If it was trench warfare, I wanted to be right there. I didn't want to be back in the office and the 17th story of the government building in Washington, D.C., thinking that I was in control of things. I wanted to take the risks. I wanted to be right up front, and I wanted to make the decisions just as they were happening before my eyes. And this was an opportunity to do that, bar none, the best opportunity for me ever to be able to do it. And one of the problems that I had, and I now see, is that if they'd let me, I'd still be under.
Oh, really?
It's very common that a long-term undercover, and that's why you have contact agents who you meet with periodically, not just to turn over tapes and to turn over documents, in a meeting at 2 or 3 in the morning at a Denny's and passing an envelope inside a newspaper over to somebody. You'd also sit and talk with them once you're clear of your tail and make sure that you're safe. And the important thing for that person to do is not just to collect evidence, but to also be a barometer, to make sure that the person is staying grounded and picking up on the red flags that might indicate otherwise. And psychologists need to be involved, on a quarterly basis to sit down with the operative and really find out what's going on, what they think about, because a natural difference of views begins to develop between the front office and the undercover. Not in the first year necessarily, but as you get closer and closer to possibly a time when it's decided that you're going to take this thing down, the undercover sticks to I stuck to the definition by the manual, which was, okay, if you're not meeting new bad guys and if you're not documenting new crimes, then you're only doing the same thing over and over again, and you need to shut the operation down. On the other hand, if you're meeting new people, you're climbing the ladder, you're finding out new and very important information that can't be found any other way, you should stay in. And, of course, my view of the information was probably different than theirs, although I was meeting new people all the time. I mean, I was able to climb the ladder pretty quickly, and if they had let me, I would have gone to Colombia undercover in that case. I did subsequently in others. But I would have gone for the purposes of being introduced to Escobar, because I had that opportunity if I really wanted it.
Right.
And they wanted me to do that. So you've got to have all these checks and balances in place, not just for the success of the operation, which, although it's important, does not trump the most important thing, and that is that you get your operative back home and you get him home safe and whole. And thankfully I had enough wise people around me to be able to get that done.
I have so many more questions. We're talking to Robert Mazur about his book, The Infiltrator, My Secret Life Inside the Dirty Banks Behind Pablo Escobar's Medellin Cartel. That's at the-infiltrator.com, the-infiltrator.com. And the last name is spelled Mazur. I'd like to make sure people get that information as well. How many times, first of all, so how many years were you involved?
I was actually in 3 operations, but the 2 main ones combined was 5 years undercover.
And you were able to maintain a marriage through that. That's amazing that you could pull that off.
Well, if you met my wife, you'd understand.
Well, that's the key, isn't it? I mean, that is the key. I feel the same way about my wife.
She deserves a lot more credit than the government ever wanted to recognize for the success of the operation.
At what point did your kids really find out what you were doing? I imagine shortly after you were out from undercover.
Yeah, because unfortunately, at least with respect to the operation in the book, within 30 days after the undercover operation was over, two federal agencies and one of the intelligence agencies reported information about it, an alleged threat on my life. And so we wound up leaving the country, coming back in, assuming another identity, pretty much breaking ties with family and friends, and living like Salman Rushdie for quite a few years. And so at that stage they had to know exactly what was going on. Some people find it hard to believe, but my wife knew what was going on as this operation went. Not who with or anything, but
right.
I certainly said, okay, I'm going to be in Paris for the next 2 weeks, and I'm going to be going here, and I'm going to be, you've got to understand why this is important. I'm meeting with people that are way at the top, and, okay, I'm meeting and dealing with board members of the 7th largest privately held bank in the world that's soliciting deposits from the underworld. She knew the level of the people that I was dealing with. And importantly, she had her own career. She's an educator. She was a first-grade teacher and, had her profession to deal with that she continued to deal with. So she wasn't, typically you wind up with a situation where an agent gets transferred to his 4th city and they're sitting there. The spouse doesn't know anybody in town. And they don't have a profession that they're pursuing, and they're trying to raise a couple of kids. That's an equation for formula as far as a long-term undercover agent is concerned, because despite the fact that the family unit is not on the operational plan, a dysfunctional family unit, and you're going to have dysfunction, but one that isn't managed is going to undermine the entire operation, because I wouldn't be able to stay focused. I mean, I had to be so focused that, I need to pick up on the nuances of body language, of things not said. I didn't have enough room in my head to be able to do much more than play that undercover role and have a governor in my mind that, okay, I'm Bob Mazur, and we have to collect this evidence and make sure that I was doing it forensically sound, and making or developing and collecting evidence that was going to stand up in a courtroom. I had to be focused on the fact that from every second that I was there, the number one thing that had to be on my mind was, I'm going to have to be in a courtroom talking to 12 citizens, and they're going to have to understand that they have a reason to want to rely on the credibility of what I'm saying and the evidence that I'm producing, because really that's what it's all about. If you don't win the trial, it's a waste of time.
No, there's no question about that. How many times did you feel very, very close to being killed? At some point, obviously when you came out from undercover that there was a threat on your life. Did you ever feel your life threatened when you were hanging around these people?
About the closest that I felt. First of all, let me just say that you have to fight that off, because, these people have a sixth sense. And if I seem unnatural, if I seem distracted, and if I seem nervous, I equate it to walking down the street and coming across a mean dog. If they know that you're afraid, they're going to attack you twice as fast. And so I wound up trying to, as part of my defense mechanism, not allow that to bubble up and really try to keep it out of my mind, because I didn't carry a gun or a badge. And if I couldn't talk my way out of it, then, there was nothing I could do about it. I didn't have a cover team the greatest majority of the time. I did get concerned at one point, probably 2 months before the end of the operation. Our offices were getting very aggressive in the surveillance of money drops. So if we were to receive, and we had a contract to receive $10 million in New York City, and we would receive that usually $500,000, $1 million, $1.5 million in chunks. And the New York office felt that it was extraordinarily important for them to follow the people away who were dropping off the money. Being in the business, I can tell you that those people, generally speaking, don't know a thing. They come here and they get paid a couple of $1,000s a month to deliver these suitcases, and they are not connected to command and control of these organizations. Sometimes it's useful to follow them back, sometimes it's not, but since I'm dealing with the people who own the money, I really didn't see the benefit of the risks. They insisted they got burned under surveillance. I got a phone call from Colombia from Gerardo Moncada, who was Pablo Escobar's principal manager of 60% of his routes, screaming that I had to be a DEA undercover agent because the feds were all over the place. They had counter surveillance out there. And they saw the feds, they saw the cars, they talked about what they looked like, what the cars looked like. They had it all down. And so I subsequently convinced my office that the only way to deal with this was to invite them to have a representative meet with me, because it was extremely important for me to get the details they had. We could only have to assume that they were right, that the feds were out there. Now we had to figure out why. And without that information, I couldn't help them. And that we needed to work in a partnership to try to figure out where the leak was. And we needed to stop business immediately. Get rid of the phones, get rid of everything. Let's just go based on this meeting. So I went to a hotel, a La Quinta, in a not very nice section of Miami.
I know where that is, actually.
Not far from the airport.
No.
And so I showed up there, and the principal contact that I'd met with in France was there, and it was just me and him. He was expecting me to bring copies of records that related to some offshore corporations that we had our lawyers put together for him. And I left those documents and my briefcase that had a recorder in it in the car, because as I told the team in Miami, listen, I know you're not going to want to do this, but you've got to, because I'm not going to do the meeting otherwise. I do not want a cover team. I want to go alone. And if you have a cover team, all you're going to do is get in there so that you know where the body is. So it's not going to do me any good. I'll call you and use code and let you know, here's where I'm going. If I'm leaving, you can call me. And what I want to do is I'm going to leave my briefcase outside, get him calmed down, let him, if he wants to pat me down. But when he asks for the records, I'll say, oh, God, I left it in the car. Let me go get the briefcase. And then I'll take it in and I'll record the rest of the meeting. So it went down just like I said, and then I took he asked where the records were. I brought the briefcase in. I threw it on the bed. We started talking, and I could see his eyes flashing at the briefcase like a madman, and was thinking it was going to be the two of us jumping on it like it was a fumble in the middle of an NFL game. and so I ultimately I took the briefcase. So he's opposite me, and it's table between us, and I opened the briefcase up so that the back of the lid was toward him, and I could see the inside of the briefcase, and he couldn't. And as that happened, the Velcro that held the sides of the briefcase, because the recorder was hidden inside the lid, the Velcro let loose, and I looked down, and there was this massive nest of wires and a recorder looking at me. And so I tried to be somewhat calm and pushed the thing back up and kept kind of pushing toward the Velcro without making it look too weird. And I got it back together again just as he stood up and came around to get the documents. And as far as heart palpitations, that's probably the closest moment. That's probably the closest moment right there.
Robert, we have to have you on again sometime. There are so many more things I want to ask you about the Sands Casino and the BCCI, the Bank of Credit and Commerce International. Who owned that bank, by the way?
Very interesting. The ownership was out of Saudi Arabia. One of the principal shareholders was the former head of Saudi intelligence. The management that I dealt with were, although Americans were sprinkled in there, mostly from Pakistan. My principal financial advisor at the bank, his father was the former head of Pakistan's ISI, which is the equivalent to the CIA. So I found myself with another reason to be nervous, which was that I was in the midst of the intelligence community, dealing with a bank that was servicing the intelligence community and the underworld at the same time, that obviously had a lot of political connections. And they had told me point blank, because they were under investigation by a Senate subcommittee at the time being led by Senator John Kerry, that they had contacts inside the subcommittee. They knew exactly what was going on. So I had my concerns about just how secure, the entire operation really was. So that was just something else to have a little bit, as we say, as I said in Italian, that's what was something to have agita about. That was definitely something that got me nervous.
Agita being kind of heartburn for people who don't speak Italian. We have to have you back again really soon. This is fascinating. There's so many more things I'd like to talk to you about. First of all, with Pakistan, Saudi Arabia involved and South America, is there anybody who's not pissed off at you?
My wife.
Well, yeah, that's right. Back to your lovely wife.
Let me tell you how I built the bridge back with her. Ultimately, for sure, and that is that I was minding my own business about 4 or 5 years ago, and I got a phone call from Universal Studios, and they said, "We want you to be a technical consultant on a movie with Michael Mann," and I agreed to do it. And it was the making of Miami Vice.
Oh, right.
Yeah, and Colin Farrell and Jamie Foxx and a number of other major actors were in it. But when I got to bring my wife on set and she got to hang out with Colin Farrell, I was forgiven for everything. And I don't quite understand why.
Yeah.
The guy's got a magic about him.
He does. Robert, please come back soon on the Tom Barnard Podcast. You've been a great guest, and we'd love to have you back. Like I said, I have many, many more questions I'd love to ask you.
Well, I'd be happy to. All
right, sir. Thank you very much, and enjoy your day.
Thank you. You too. Bye.
Robert Mazur. Again, the book is called The Infiltrator, My Secret Life Inside the Dirty Banks Behind Pablo Escobar's Medellin Cartel. You can visit the-infiltrator.com. Buy online by going to the Amazon.com banner at TomBarnardPodcast.com. They don't charge you a penny more. A small portion of what they sell through our site helps support the show, and it's what keeps the show free for our listeners. Click and shop today on the Amazon banner at TomBarnardPodcast.com. He was fascinating.
He was. I just don't know how these guys have the stomach for what they do. I mean, you have to be built a certain way.
Oh, no, there's no question.
I just don't understand it.
Good morning, Dr. Rose speaking.
How are you this morning, sir?
I'm fit as a fiddle and ready for anything.
I'm fit as a fiddle and ready for anything. Dr. Robert Rose, this is the Tom Barnard Podcast. My son Andy, my nephew Sean, I'm Tom Barnard. The first thing I want to do is ask you, does anybody understand the psychology of sexual misconduct by educators? Does anyone understand how this happens?
Well, in a way, yeah, we understand some of it.
Because, I mean, I can't picture. I guess you always put yourself in any story. You hear a story and you go, well, wait a minute. How did this happen? I mean, to be attracted to children is just something I can't fathom.
Yeah, I think that's true. I have the same trouble with that. I was thinking more in the middle and upper and high school. Yeah, I find it very difficult. And I know people are always asking me, well, how do we know for sure if the person, is someone that we need to be worried about? And there is no easy answer because some of the people seem very normal in every other way, and they're friendly and they're very charismatic and everything. What I tell people is we need, as a teacher, I try to teach my kids about inappropriate touching, and that's what I think parents have to do. And you really have to work at it because the teacher has such power. I mean, that's why I talk about abuse of power. The teacher has such power over a child, and especially if they're that kind of person who is very friendly, very tactile, wants to touch, and the kids appreciate that because they think it means that the guy really likes them. They don't see that as as somebody that's trying to take advantage of them. And so, when someone touches that way, the kid will go to them.
Right.
I know that I hug my kids all the time, and pat them on the head and things like that, and the kids would just fold into you. They were just so grateful for any kind of touch. And Ashley Montague says this is the most important thing in human relationships. Mm-hmm. So when a teacher is really good at that, but uses it, inappropriately, it's very hard to discriminate between, the normal teacher who's just being friendly and affectionate, and someone who is, got sexual ideas in their mind.
I imagine
and it's not easy to figure it out.
I imagine a lot of the kids that they're preying on are also not getting any affection at home, or that sort of thing happens.
That's right.
Yeah.
And even if they are getting affection at home, when a kid, one of my daughters is, very affectionate, out of the 5 more than the other ones in some way, and she's always been susceptible to teachers. She always has admired her teachers, and wants to touch them and to hug them and things like that. And so I had to work with her a lot, about being very careful about things. And parents need just to be really aware of that. But it's really hard, just like the people, the coaches and the ministers and priests and everybody like that. There are people that you trust, and that's what makes it so difficult.
No question about it. We're talking to Dr. Robert Rose, author of Abuses of Power in Education and The Complete Teacher. This is a statement that just it floors me. The latest data shows that 10% of kids in K through 12 are targets of sexual misconduct by educators charged with facilitating their learning. 10% of the children. That's amazing to me.
Yeah, well, I'm very suspicious of it. May be higher, or may be lower.
Oh, really?
I wonder about how people get their statistics.
Well, yes.
Because my experience and as being a sex educator and asking people questions about their sexuality, I find that people lie all the time. So
yeah.
I don't know how accurate some of these things are.
Well, I suppose that's absolutely true. Now, looking back again, you put yourself in any scenario. I don't remember, and I went to Catholic school for 9 years, went to public school for 3 years after that. I don't remember any of this, any inappropriate touching or anything that ever made me feel uncomfortable. I don't remember any of this from the priests or the teachers or any of it. I had never heard of this until 20 years ago. It had to have been going on, but we just didn't hear about it.
Yeah, because I'm 80 years old, so I was in the 30s and the 40s, and I never thought anything about that either, and nobody ever talked about it, and of course most of the teachers didn't, weren't that affectionate, where they would be or something like that. It just wasn't something that was done. But when we went through the New Age thing. And I was very involved in that, in the sexual revolution. Touching became something that was supposed to be, a normal expression of humans, and it is.
Yeah.
But there is, like you say, a certain proportion of people that use it to their advantage, to the disadvantage of the child who is vulnerable. And like you, it's hard for me. I had one of the ladies I had on my radio show. She was being raped, sodomized by her father when she was 3 years old. That just blows my mind away. I just can't even imagine that.
Yeah, the sexual attraction to an infant is just an amazing thing to a toddler in this case, 3 years old. Is there any way to explain? I mean, I understand some of its power. I got to believe, in general, it probably happened to the abuser as well. Do you think when they were small?
Yeah, probably something like. In most cases, I think that's true, but you never know, And I think sometimes guys that aren't very well endowed, may pick on a youngster because they feel threatened by a normal, healthy woman.
Yeah, I've never thought of that.
So they go to kids. I think even most guys that are like that don't seek out children. It's just something you don't think about.
Yeah, there's no question. I hadn't thought of that, but that's a very good point that you just made. Are guys like Jerry Sandusky, the guy at Penn State, the coach at Penn State, is he really in deep denial? He maintains his innocence. I know he doesn't want to go to prison for the rest of his life, but how could his wife have allowed that to go on in the home for many, many years? And she seems to me feels no remorse. What happened to these little children?
Well, that to me, that's a pretty sick individual. As far as the wife is concerned, I know that women and men in general, even if they think their spouse is cheating, a lot of people just can't wrap their mind around it because they love the other person, and there is trust on their side. The trust isn't on the side of the cheating person. And I think the wife probably, if she wasn't working or anything, she needed Jerry. And I've seen a lot of cases with my minority kids especially, where the mother would turn a blind eye to certain things that were happening to their daughters or even their sons, because the husband in that case was the breadwinner. And if they reported it, they would be out in the street, with or without their kids. So they just turned a blind eye to it and didn't respond to all the clues they had. And they may even have known deep in their heart or known from actual observation or something, and they just won't report it.
So at what age do you suggest that you actually start talking to your kids? Because I think a lot of people, they say, well, it depends on the maturity of your kid and that sort of thing. But actually at our church, they had a conversation about this, and then, we talked to our kids about it. Now my son is scared to death, I think, of people that are out there. He's 9 years old, but he's
coaches, you mean?
Of everything. I mean, he's got, he literally, after we talked to him about it, he became very scared. I mean, he started saying every night, we got to make sure both of the doors are locked, and, which we do. But, he's 9 years old, and we've kept our kids very innocent in many ways. But we also feel like, my wife's a teacher, so she, she's certainly heard and seen many stories that are out there. But she teaches kindergartners, and she said it's impossible not to hug a kindergartner because they come up and hug you.
Right.
There's just there's no way around it. She said, I'm in the hallway, and they storm up and give you the big hug. So, but what is the best time, do you think, to begin that conversation with your children?
Well, I think your wife knows this too, that you have to, when you're talking to kids, you have to keep in mind their emotional and their intellectual level. And you don't answer anything or offer. That was a mistake I made with some of my older daughters. I have 5 daughters and 2 sons in a blended family. So we've gone through these things many times. And, you have to be very careful about what you talk to them about their sex. Because like one of my daughters says, Dad, you made it sound too good. And I said, well, I didn't want to lie to you that, why would anybody have sex if it didn't feel good, And she said, well, you made it sound too good. And so what I think I would tell parents is, keep to the facts, but also explain to them the emotional component of any kind of a sexual relationship that, that can be devastating to you for the rest of your life, if you are hurt or you hurt somebody else. So, but as a teacher, that you just do it age appropriate. You just don't tell them everything. That's why you let them ask you questions. Usually the kids will start asking you questions when they're ready. And just keep it, just answer questions. One of my things is I would go on a little bit too long about it, and I wouldn't do that again as a parent.
Right. I was looking at your resume. How many books have you written now?
Somewhere around 25, I guess.
Yeah, I think it was 20, closer to 30, maybe.
Maybe 30. Well, it's getting bigger all the time.
Yeah, exactly. Caregiving: The Secrets Are was released last month, correct?
Yeah, I'm very proud of that book, and I think it's important for. One of the things that I like about that book is it isn't just talking about caregiving right now. It's talking about setting, like you and your wife. I'm sure you have things that trigger each other. You need to work on these triggers now, because if one of you gets sick, the triggers are, like in my way, was almost exponentially more devastating. And I say in the book, we really got into some massive conflicts and hurt each other. Well, she hurt me. I didn't hurt her.
Right.
And that's why one of my guests, her father, had tried to choke her 4 times. She had to call the police on him as a caregiver, and she thought a halfway decent relationship with him. So work on your relationships now and try to improve them as much as possible. But be very aware of what I call your baggage, the things that you haven't resolved in your own life and the baggage that your spouse has that she hasn't resolved. Those things are going to come up and bite you in the butt.
Can I ask you a favor? Because You're also a radio host of Rewiring Your Brain. I got about, 300-400 people I'd like you to rewire their brain. Any shots?
Yeah, I'd love to do it.
I actually might be one of those myself, to tell you the truth. I might need a little rewiring myself. You know, what's interesting, and speaking with you, people like you, very, very well qualified. I mean, you worked at the U.S. Air Force as a psychiatrist, a psychiatric social worker, a deputy probation officer in L.A. That had to be a ball.
Yeah, it was.
Oh, man, challenging job. I mean, so many other things. What I always come away with, talking to people like you is, I may not have had a great childhood. As a matter of fact, I had a pretty bad childhood, but it wasn't this bad, you know? It wasn't this bad. So you get a different perspective, and people like to sit around and wallow in their own misery, I suppose, and we're all guilty of it in certain ways, but I literally hear stories of things that happen to children, and you just go, no matter how bad it was, and you have to look at the fact that the people, the parents or whomever are working with what they learn. Because, I found out later in life, Dr. O, this is sound probably a little crass, or a little, calloused, I guess, more than crass. More calloused is when I grew up and got a little older, I realized that both my grandfathers were jerks. So, anything that was passed along to my mother and father is because my grandfathers were jerks. So it became very evident to me in my early teens that this is definitely a generational thing. I mean, from generation.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting comment, because one of the things that I try to tell people is, in my marriage now, I have 3 stepchildren, and their relationship with their father has been, to put it mildly, toxic. Mm-hmm. And for a while there, my wife and I tried to get them, to be able to deal with him, in as good manner as possible. But he kept screwing it up, and he would do all sorts of bad things to them. So what I finally came to the conclusion is, this, in the 10 Commandments, honor thy father and mother. I said, why should you honor someone who is constantly, has hurt you as a child and now is hurting you as a teenager and then later as an adult? That I think sometimes you just got to write it off and say, okay, like you said with your grandfathers, they were jerks, and just wash them out of your life.
Yes.
And I think some people that works.
I really liked what you said.
Guilt and things that they've been taught, they just can't do it.
I really like what you said right there.
Going back to the situation where they are being abused, and I feel very sad about that.
There's a lot of people, as Tom was saying, that they kind of wallow in their childhood and that sort of thing. But I liked what you just said there. That there are certain people that, for me, it's not really about my childhood anymore. It's about how you're treating me today, and that's not acceptable either. With some people's situations, you start looking at your parents and saying, "Would I choose this person as a friend?" Yes, they gave birth to me, but are they in a reciprocal, giving, caring, loving relationship as I would choose, rather than something that was kind of chosen for me?
Yeah, that's interesting too, because like I said, we had 7 kids, and I would kind of, it sounds ridiculous, but I would kind of put them like 1 to 7. The ones that I liked the best, and I had to admit the ones that were the most loving to me and, called me or wanted my attention or, did something for me are the ones I liked the best. And when I would tell people, well, I like so-and-so better,
Number
say,
6.
well, how can you feel that way? And I say, well, how can you love all your kids equally?
Yeah.
You love people that give you something in return. And in one of my books, I talk about mutual respect. And I said, if someone doesn't respect you at the same level that you respect them, why should you respect them at that level? You got to be realistic or you're going to get butchered.
There's no doubt about it. The latest book, Caregiving, The Secrets Are. Dr. Robert Rose, you're a tremendous guest. Very, very informative. I always love interviews where I learn something.
Well, I always learn things from my guests. I'll tell you, I've had unbelievable guests on. Dr. Bregan is one who taught me about the negative effects of psychotropic drugs,
Right.
And they're giving, people are taking them left and right. And my wife, one of the things that she was on was Alexa.
Oh, yeah.
And she was on it for a couple of years. And when she was falling and hurting herself, I just attributed to, the fact that she was drinking. But after talking to Dr. Bregan and I got her off of Alexa, she hasn't fallen once.
Well, that's good news.
There's so many things that are out there that we don't, that we're not privy to. And I think that's what's wonderful about being a radio host. You get to meet, really interesting people.
There's no doubt about it, and you are one of them. Thank you, Dr. Rose.
Well, thank you for letting me be on your show. You have been a really good host, so I appreciate it.
Thank you. Well, hopefully we'll talk again very soon.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
A portion of the profits of the Tom Barnard Podcast goes directly to the Smile Network. The Smile Network is a nonprofit organization that provides life-altering reconstructive surgeries and related healthcare services to impoverished children. That was nice. And young adults in developing countries. The Smile Network. Together we are constructing lives one bright smiling face at a time. By the way, the Tom Barnard Podcast giving away $5,000 on October 11th to one of our lucky listeners. We'll give a matching donation to the Smile Network. All you have to do to enter is go to our website, tombarnardpodcast.com, and click on the banner or the Enter Now button. The contest promotes sharing the podcast through Facebook, Twitter, email, and more. We'll contact the winner of $5,000 on October 11th. You'll be interviewed on the show, as a matter of fact. The 30-day giveaway of $5,000 at tombarnardpodcast.com. And, of course, the Smile Network gets an additional $5,000. I like both of our guests today.
I did too. I mean, I was a little concerned going in. Here it is a Monday, and we got two guys talking about some pretty heavy topics, but also incredibly educational and interesting and entertaining in several ways. I mean, it was very interesting today.
What I'm liking about the podcast is you take today's show and compare it to Joey Coco Diaz.
A little bit of a contrast.
A huge contrast. And by the way, you met Courtney Sherman.
Yes.
We saw her at Rick Bronson's House Comedy on Saturday night.
How was she?
You would not believe the different person she is on stage.
I wish I could have made it down there. I had the in-laws in town, but she's very, we went out to dinner with them on Friday night, and she seemed very reserved, and she really didn't, a lot of comedians and people, actors, they tend to kind of jam their personality at you at all times, but she was really, really reserved, so I kept saying I'd love to see her on stage.
She was unbelievable. I mean, she's dirtier than Joey Diaz.
Is she really?
It was unbelievable.
That's crazy.
I mean, she's very, very funny, very talented. And she wrote this beautiful tweet, how honored she was to know us all and to consider us to be her friends now. And by the way, her last name is Sherman, but it's spelled Scheurman. It's actually Sherman.
Sherman, yeah.
But she pronounces it Linda. Courtney. I knew a Linda Sherman. That's right.
Did you really?
I used to know a Linda Sherman.
That sounds familiar, actually. I wonder if I...
Yeah, Courtney Sherman. Just a great person. And Brian Callen, again, I couldn't say more nice things about the guy. We went to dinner on Thursday night and then again on Saturday night. So, Brian, if you're listening, thanks for spending all my money, you prick.
What a humble, decent guy he was, too.
He is.
Just a great guy. Give me a hug when I left. I was like, I
don't know, he's a wonderful guy.
Really good dude. I talked to him about inappropriate touching after that.
Yeah, so I had to call Dr. Robert Rose.
Exactly.
Call this guy Dr. Robert Rose. Rewiring your mind is what you got to get done. Enjoy your day, ladies and gentlemen.